Good day to everyone. My name is Kati Kivimäki, and on behalf of the event organization and Forssa municipality, I wish you all warmly welcome to this second Forssa Textile Week. Swedish Axel Warén founded the spinning mill called Forssa in the middle of 19th century. It was soon joined with weaving mill, dyeing plant, and printing shop. A village grew around it, and finally a city, and they got their name from factories. It became Forssa. The city's roots are deeply in textile industrial heritage. And today's Forssa's future vision is based on sustainable development. So that is why it is especially great to host an event which contributes to improving the position of sustainable textile in society. This year, 40 companies producing responsible textile, 9 different schools and institutions, and 20 separate textile artists are participating in the event. There are 15 event locations, which I feel I'm very honored to be the producer of this event. I'm really grateful for everybody participating. And also I want to thank, except participants, I want to thank all the collaborators and the event team, which is now spread in all these 15 locations. Today's introductions and discussions will deal with the role of the designer and designer as part of industrial production in international markets. And the event, this talk event, is hosted by Jenni Moberg from Patterns from Agency. So from my part, I wish you welcome, and I give the lead to Jenni.
Thank you, Kati. Warm welcome also on my behalf. It's very lovely to see such a big audience today here at Forssa Theatre. Discussing and hearing the experiences of textile designers around the world. The first session we are going to have today is about the role and the possibilities of the designer in international manufacturing industry. We will have 4 keynote presentations from the industry experts who have a long experience in their field. The first speaker comes from Sweden. She has studied at the Royal Danish Academy, textile design being her major. Currently working at ACS Textiles as a design consultant, having also a long history as a freelance designer and collaborator with different brands. She's also running a Formgivarpodden, so if you're having time for practicing the Swedish, the Finnish audience here, so please take some look at that. But without longer introduction words, please let's give applause to Karin Oulu Lindgård.
Hello, I'm very honored to be here in Forssa, and I've had a lovely morning walking around and looking at all the exhibitions. Not all, of course, but some of them. Very nice. As mentioned, my name is Karin Oulu Lindgård, and I work every day with colleagues on the other side of the globe. Me and my colleagues are the design world's answer to ghostwriters. It rarely says on the products that we have designed them, but yet our designs are sold in stores all over the world. After years of running my own design studio, I'm now mainly working as a design consultant and design manager with ACS Textiles, a renowned family-owned producer of high-end interior textiles based in the outskirts of Dhaka in Bangladesh. The factory produces bed textiles, throws, cushions, sleepwear, etc. And they carry out the entire production chain from weaving, printing, and dyeing to finishing, sewing, and packaging. The products are made on behalf of various brands from around the globe, such as Hemtex that you have here in Finland, Marks & Spencer in the UK, Pillow Talk in Australia, and Sarah Home worldwide. ACS Textiles have 3 international design houses. The studio where I work with my colleague Matilda is called Concepts of Scandinavia, and we're based in Malmö. And our aim is to design for the North European market. In addition to us, there is 1 design house in the UK and 1 in Australia. This means that we work with 4 different time zones and a total time difference of 9 hours on a daily basis. The design house's missions is partly to create commercial designs that fit our markets, partly to help develop the factory by inventing new techniques, structures, and weaves. The factory is always asking for newness, and we spend a lot of time coming up with new fabric structures and binding combinations. For me, as a designer, it's a great opportunity to be able to work directly with the factory and getting the chance to explore the possibilities of all the different looms and techniques at hand. When I was a freelancer, I mainly did prints because that was what was possible for me to do then, and now I have the possibility to work with all of these different weaving techniques and looms. And as far as I know, this kind of collaboration is quite unique since we don't work with the brand. We don't always have to think about the costs when we try out new possibilities. We just get to try it out, and then later on we can see if it's possible to have it on the market. Traditionally, brands themselves come up with the designs, either with the help of in-house designers or purchasing files from external designers. And then the brand go to the factory, and the factory produce the products that are sold in the brand stores. But instead of waiting around for the brand to contact the factory, ACS have chosen to have these 3 design houses that I mentioned before. And we do designs and go to the brands to present them. And since the aesthetics and trends differ so much in different parts of the world, ACS have hired local designers who understand the local trends to support brands in the different parts of the world where they are active. It's free for the brand to use our design service, but when they do, the production has to go to ACS, and thus we create new assignments for the factory, and that is why they pay us. Matilda, who is my colleague, and we started the design studio in Malmö in the middle of the Corona epidemic, and we had not met our employers who are living in Bangladesh. Luckily, the 2 of us had collaborated for many years with the operation of the collective printing workshop Textiltyck Malmö before that. So we knew each other really well, and that was very good when we were to start up the studio all by ourselves. In the studio in Malmö, it's just the 2 of us, and we have a really flat organization where we're both design managers, and we take joint responsibility for all the parts of the process. it did take some time to understand how on earth to collaborate with a factory on the other side of the globe. But we soon realized that if our ideas and visions were to be implemented as we envisioned, we need to be really clear so that our colleagues in Dhaka understand what we are after when we brief something in. And over time, I think we've learned how to do it. Textiles is so much about feeling and structures, and it's really hard when you have a vision in your head and try to get that down on a digital file and get it rightly done. It takes some time to really get it through. Yeah. From the beginning, we worked only with designs, but now we also visit customers around the Nordics, and we're responsible for the photo shoot and the layout of the ACS catalog. So we are Ghost designers, and our mission is to design bedding textiles that different brands want to sell in their stores. The work involves designing woven and printed products that suit the Northern European market. And we often have several deadlines a week. We do both designs on request of the brands and collections from our own point of view that we present to them. In most cases, we have a close collaboration with buyers and designers at the various brands, and we have built up a good relationship with them over time. As you can understand, there has to be a great deal of trust, as in many cases, we work with different brands that are all competing for the same customers. Then some brands cooperate with agents who then act as an intermediary between the factory and the brand. This makes the work easier for the brand because the agent takes care of negotiations and stuff like that. But for us as designers, it's it's a bit harder to work with agents since there is a lack of direct communication for us then. Traditionally, it's the sales team that has the contact with the brands and go around and sell the fabrics. But our manager in Bangladesh has understood that there is more value in us as designers, meeting the designers and buyers from the brands. Because in that way, design and quality can be in focus when we show the samples. And we can meet one textile lover to another instead of just talking about prices right away. And our personal connection to the brand people also makes it easier for us to have a good design collaboration. However, we then are very happy to leave the money talk to our sales team, so we don't have to deal with that. Yes, here's some pictures from the factory. Our managers and closest colleagues are situated in the factory in the outskirts of Dhaka. And all communication takes place per email and WhatsApp. Different time zones and different working days of the week mean that the mobile phone often beeps on odd times. In Bangladesh, there is a public holiday on Fridays, so that's usually a bit more quiet in our office on those days. But on the other hand, Sundays is the first working day of the week. So then there is a lot of messages with questions that needs to be answered immediately. That could, for example, be about the jacquard fabric, which is prepared in the loom, and where they need an answer about the technical detail before they can continue. And if we don't answer, the machine is at standstill until we answer, which in worst case means an interruption in production. Our closest colleagues are two textile engineers in Bangladesh, Rafi and Chuber. They are responsible for the correct translation of our design visions into textiles. The design files we send are digital, and together with the files, we also send a design brief with information about bindings, weaving, technique, and color references. If we do have a clear vision, we try to be overly clear to get there. But sometimes we ask Rafi and Shubert to come up with their own solution as well to make what they feel is best. Sometimes we send physical samples to the factory, and sometimes picture references are enough. Rafi and Shubert then pass our design files and explains our visions to the different departments at the factory that are to produce the samples. And the samples are then sent to us for approval before they proceed to final production. Most brands work with seasons, often 2 or 3 new releases in the spring and as many in the fall, plus special products for holidays such as Christmas and Easter. At the same time, we can see that several of our designs return to stores year after year, which is good because it extends the life of the products from a trend perspective. Since we need to have samples ready to show to the brands when they start working on the new season, we need to be very far ahead of schedule. Right now, for example, we are finishing work on collections that will hopefully arrive in stores in the summer of 2026. This means that we need to catch the trends 2.5 years in advance, long before the trend companies have released their reports. To do this, we always scan our surroundings for possible trends. We keep updated about fashion and interior trends. We buy a lot of magazines, scroll social media, of course, visit thrift shops and go on trend trips to other countries. And based on what we see, we then just have to trust our gut feelings and do what we feel inspired by. Once a year in November, we visit the factory in Dhaka. These are usually busy days when we finally get to be close to the production, see the machines and meet the people. We usually stay in hotels in the city, and every morning we are picked up by a car that takes us the 30 kilometers to the factory. On a good day, that journey takes about 1.5 hours, but last year it took 3. At the factory, we look at samples and approve designs to be shown at the Forssa Textile fair in Frankfurt in mid-January. Matilda and I are responsible for 6 different collections for the fair. And this is the first and only time we have the opportunity to see everything together before it's shown to the world. Usually the process is very quick once we're on site at the factory. We sometimes can ask for a sample of a woven design in the morning and see the sample the very next day. Many on-site corrections concern the specific colors of different prints or the finish of a product. But it also happens that we add or change designs, of course. So the textile industry in Bangladesh has quite rightly a very bad reputation. It's far too often that there are reports of child labor, fires, and environmental crisis as a result of illegal emissions. But as always, you shouldn't allow yourself to lump everyone together. The ACS factory takes great responsibility for both employees, environment, and the local community. They hold all the certificates, but they have a stated goal to always be better than what the certificates require. An example is that they pay for the schooling of the children of all of their 7,000 employees. And they do check that all the kids go to school. There is a health clinic and a daycare center at the facility. And when our managing director learned that the bank was charging an extra fee for ATM withdrawals, he had an ATM installed at the factory premises where all extra fees are deducted from the company so that the employees do not have to lose any part of their salary to the bank. When it comes to the environment, they're also at the forefront. The utmost importance is given to the environment, even if it may drive up their operational costs. They use solar energy, they have a water treatment plant, and they let the water run in a closed cycle. They reuse waste heat, they're careful to dispose of material waste, and so on. You can read more about it on their website. And they do offer a wide range of non-toxic, organic, renewable, and recycled materials. As you understand, this is a producer to be proud of. And they sure do a better job than many other producers. But it's also a producer of products in a higher price segment because it costs a lot to take responsibility all the way. And as a consumer, you need to understand that if something is very cheap in store, it's because someone else is paying the difference. In some cases, it's the workers who are not paid enough, and in other cases, it's the environment or the biodiversity. So one should not assume that the company is immoral just because it's located in Bangladesh. There are good and bad factories everywhere. And as a consumer, you unfortunately have to trust that different brands have done their homework and visited and checked up on the producers they use. All right. So this was some insights as a design consultant with a company abroad. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Karin. Let's leave the questions for the question and answer session.
Okay. Yes.
But keep your questions in mind anyway. This was a very nice overview about the global textile industry and its chains that may be very long and also very global. So our next speaker has said that to work as a designer is a service profession. A designer has been solving the challenges related with the way of dressing at her current work for more than 9 years. She has said that a good clothing gives energy. She's talking today about Nanso and its prints, and she is the head of design at Nanso. Please, Noora Niinikoski.
Thank you for inviting me here to Forssa to tell you the story about Nanso and its prints. Nanso is a very, very old Finnish company. So in order to tell you the story properly, I need to try to wrap it quickly in 15 minutes of the 100 years history of Nanso. So Nanso was established 1921 at Nokia, and we had a small factory there at that time. We were specializing in dyeing and soon started also weaving and knitting. And Nanso brand was already established or launched in 1929. Here's just a quick idea of us today. So the main company is called Nanso Group, and we have 2 brands, Nanso and Vogue. And in fact, as we were specializing in underwear and hosiery in the early days, we nowadays also have the hosiery brand Vogue in-house. So we kind of keep those traditions of the history alive. Vogue brand is actually established in Sweden in the late 30s, so it has a wonderful history also. Here's some key figures of Nanso Group and also some really fun image of the store back in the days, perhaps in the around 40s, 50s. Just a quick comment about Nanso's brand. If we think of like Finns in general, we tend to not to dream so big. I mean that not necessarily our biggest dream is to perhaps have a huge castle or something like that, But instead, we dream of our private happy places in nature, summer cottages, somewhere where we can relax and feel comfortable and ease and rest in solitude. So this is an original brand image of Nanso from the 60s. And I just love this image because I think it really sums up the idea of Finnishness and also the heart of the Nanso brand. In fact, Nanso is here due to the fact that the founders, for some reason, decided that Nanso has to be about quality and comfort. So these two elements are still the key ideas of Nanso brand. And I find it really amazing how throughout the long history, the brand has kept these ideas in the very core of its thinking. My job, of course, as head of design is to take this heritage to the future and keep these elements alive in the company. So these ads from the 50s talk only about quality and comfortability of the products. So if the history until like 60s was about underwear, hosiery, and quite sort of like solid colored items and very delicate, close to the skin items with the high quality materials and that sort of like a idea of super easy and comfortable feeling. By end of 60s, we had some changes in the Finnish market. So there were a lot of new imported goods coming to the market, and that caused big competition and in terms of prices and so forth. So the company owners found that in fact what they were doing for the first 50 years wasn't profitable anymore, and they started to look for new direction for the company. So that new direction came, of course, from the world around, and what they saw was a rising amount of printed goods around. So little by little, with the subcontractors, they started to make prints at Nanso, and the prints became super popular. So by the beginning of 70s, they established and opened their own printing factory in-house. Before that, we actually had our own printing machine, but it was located in Sweden. So it's quite interesting how things moved industrially between these two countries. Here's some fun images from the 70s and 80s, which were really the golden era of very sort of bold prints. And although we have very many prints in the archives, I find that there's always this sort of flavor of a certain decade when we look at the past. So my sort of like approach with Nanso is not so much of thinking of it as a retro brand, but instead focusing into the future and thinking of like what's the essence of the brand and how to develop it from now on. Here's some images of our factory at Nokia from also from the past, and this was really the heart of the company. Prints were extremely important part of the brand, and even nowadays the brand is very well known for the printed goods. And in fact, as time goes by, world changes, and this was the decision to actually make this printing factory in-house was already in the 70s against the sort of like a global direction of other fashion and textile companies. It was more common to actually build up a network of subcontractors and to work with the factories outside the company. So, but printing factory was really the important part, and the factory all over in general at Nanso. But by 90s, end of 90s, it started to the situation started to change, and again, due to the fact that Finland became and sort of like a global fashion business changed, and we had a big sort of like a mass market chains and fast fashion companies coming up. So the competition became again really tight, and we had to look for new strategies and solutions in order to survive. So it took quite a while, in fact, to make those decisions. It was hard and tough decision for the owners to close the factory, but that was the only way to move ahead and keep the brand alive. Then when I look at the history and think of the future and Nanso today, I kind of like I need to study the past in order I can create the future. I want to feel the heart of the brand and then interpret that into design work. I collaborate with many designers, especially locally here in Finland. Some of them I've worked for all these years that I've been at Nanso. For example, Reeta Eek and Teija Puranen, who is here in the audience, and as well as Tanja Valta. I always start new collaboration with new designers like Terttu Rönkkö, who is also in the audience. There's Oona Mäkelä. There's Sanni Ojala, that I'm wearing the print of Sanni's today, and many others. So I strongly believe in Finnish print design, in general, the heritage of that field, and I feel like honored, and it's my job really to keep that know-how and keep that tradition alive. I've intentionally picked up some images that have some similar flavor, but it's not something that I have looked at when I've been sort of like designing or thinking of the future collections. So it's very much of like you know, it's like a big bunch of ideas coming from here and there, and then you just put them together, and things pop up in the mind and comes translates into next collections and so forth. But what is very typical of Nanso prints, it's what I could sort of say is perhaps certain clarity. There's certain sort of like often two-colored prints, graphic sort of like stylist motifs that somehow brings up the original handwriting of the textile designer. So I'm always like looking for a specific character in the print. It should look like quite sort of like easy. I somehow explain that or feel that it should be like it's thrown the motifs are thrown on the composition, and it looks like so natural, and there can't be anything that is kind of like you know, everything is just in the right place. And I'm happy that these designers that I work with are so great that that sort of like easiness and airiness in the compositions is happening, in my opinion. So how to kind of like describe Nanso kind of essence? It's somehow hard. I'm often in discussion with, for example, with buyers, that they ask that, okay, we want a couple of new prints for, let's say, for nightwear or something, and then it should be something like Nanso-like. And then I'm like, yes, for sure. That's easy task. So, and then they have their sort of like image of Nanso, and sometimes I start to think of like what they think. They can't describe it, of course. It's very abstract. So then after years and years working with clients, I've decided that the way I think Nanso is, that's the truth. That's how it goes. So it's, yeah, there's no other option. Nanso can be so many things. There's, of course, all the florals, there's all the tiny prints, dots, and so forth. There's all the abstract graphic motifs. There can be basically anything. So what I do, as we have around like at least, I would say, 60 prints per year, I want to create this sort of like very diverse selection of prints, so that we have like all different aspects of print design covered. So small, tiny motifs, very big, bold ones, florals, geometrics, anything in between. And that's like the way I work seasonally. Yes. So here's some images of the autumn collection, for example. And on the left, we have an image from the 70s. Nanso is very well known for nightwear, although nowadays that's a very small part of the collection. Instead, we focus more into fashion direction and women's wear collection, and that's like the main business that we do. We have several categories. We have also home textile category, besides the fashion items. And here's some images of the spring-summer collection this year. Prints have their specific role in the collection. It's like the spice of the season. But we do have a lot of unicolor items, in fact, more and more. But that's only due to the fact that so many people dress up in unicolored clothing. So it's always in relation, of course, with the people and the fashion around and what's happening in the world. So, and here's some images of the autumn-winter collection this year. And this, of course, autumn season is very much about knitwear and jackets, puff jackets for the colder days. And again, some fun prints for the season. And here, the collage of the items for this up-and-coming season that we are living right now. And yes, so this was a short introduction of Nanso and its prints and a bit brief history. And so thank you so much. And if you have any questions later on, I'm here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noora. Interesting to hear how Nanso has been developing through the past 100 years. Our next speakers represent a company that has a strong relation with the city of Forssa. It has even longer history that dates back to the 19th century. The company is known, or the brand is known for its marketing campaigns. Their sustainability acts include collecting old bed linen and jeans and transforming them into new products. The speakers are going to talk about the changing role of the designer. Please let's give applause to design and process lead Elina Lappalainen and the lead designer Osmi Koskinen from Finlayson.
So super nice to be here, and I'm delighted to be here with my lovely colleague Elina. So we come from Finlayson, and like Jenni said, I'm the lead designer of Finlayson, but to be precise, Finlayson Home Textiles, and then Elina.
Yes, I'm Elina. Nice to meet you all, and I'm the lead and process design of clothing. So yeah,
So
that's kind of new addition to Finlayson, but old at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So we do have a pretty much the same work, but still we have different point of view because of the fashion and clothing design.
And scale.
Yeah. So today we are talking about the changing role of the designer. And why we chose this is because that some of you might know that Finlayson has a very, very long history, starting already at 1820, but we are not starting from that year. It's a too long history to cover up in this time. So we will
skip 100 years.
or even a little bit more than 100 years.
Sorry.
So we are starting from the year 1951, when Finlayson Design Atelier was established here in Forssa. So that's the year when we are starting now today. So the Finlayson Design Atelier was really the creative heart of the Finlayson. So that was the place where all the design were made, and beautiful, beautiful designers were working. They were creating hundreds, thousands of designs every year, a huge amount of designs, various designs, everything from big flowers to stripes and pattern, checks and polka dots and everything.
Whatever you can think of.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah. And if I think about that time, I feel that those designers were true artists. They were really concentrating on the different techniques of art and how to create different kind of patterns and designs. And they were getting inspiration from the fashion shows and around the world. And they were coming to Helsinki to see all the exhibitions. And they were looking at different world-known artists. I've been talking to one of the designers of that time, Mrs. Aini Vaari, from here from Forssa, and she told me that they got inspiration from many artists like Jackson Pollock or someone, and they started experimenting with the same style so that they were splashing colors all over the paper and creating really wild designs at that time. So I think that they were true artists at that time.
And patterns are a backbone of Finlayson. So kind of the atelier was the backbone of the whole company.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing that the designers had in those days was that the factory was here. It was near. So the production was made in Finland. And so the designers had the chance to go to the factory to talk with the professionals there. Okay. You can see that I'm not a pro with this one.
It's the right moves.
Okay, I'll do the right moves now and keep the mic close enough.
Yeah.
So they had the advantage so that they could go to the factory and talk to the professionals at the factory and to make sure that the designs were executed as they wanted. And of course, now that has changed a little bit because the production is abroad. Since 2009, Finlayson factory moved away from Forssa, and now we have the production abroad. And it is actually pretty much the same what Karin was saying in her speech, that the designer needs to be communicating pretty well, actually, because
with the flag pictures, as you described, it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because you really need to somehow tell the factory what you are after. Of course, you can make a nice print, but what about the material? What about the details? What about the feel, the finish, the everything, that it comes out the way as you want it to be? So, and of course, it's okay to have Teams meeting and to sometimes maybe few times a year to fly over to the factory and see how the production is, but still it's different. So you really need to be aware of the techniques, the possibilities, and all the limitations that the factory and the production has. And that is something that makes the design field somehow wider, I would say. I don't think that we are pattern designers.
Well, not me at least.
Yeah, so we are more, I would say, like product. Yeah. Product
all
design.
over designers, and we're not working, well, we work together, but there's also a huge team in our corner that helps us, and we kind of visualize everything that comes for us. It's not like we just drew something and this is it, but then there's the factory side, the sales team side, the technical design side. There's so many sides, I don't even count them anymore.
Yeah.
But we are all in the company as a same team. And even though we do different collections, kind of in a different time schedule also, we still, well, I haven't been with Finlayson as long as you have, so it's quite new to me in any case.
Trust me.
Fresh eyes, I don't know. But it took me a while to get the mindset of Finlayson and the patterns, because the patterns are, as I said before, the backbone of the collection and the company. And I used to work mainly on solid colors, which is good too, don't get me wrong, but it was really a huge change for me. So that's why the communication, even within the team that's working, is crucial.
Yes. So, like we said, from a pattern design to a product design, the scale is quite wide with this one. And we wanted to show you a few examples of the products that we have here, because like I already mentioned, we have a very long history and we have a huge archive of patterns. So not every time we are creating something new, but we can also use something from the history. And we also feel that we are honoring this legacy by keeping these designs alive and taking them back every now and then. For example, this one over here, this is from the 1970s, the pattern, and designed by Arja Mattila. And now it's coming to the Finlayson Autumn-Winter 24 collection, so it should be now in stores. And you can see that it still looks very up-to-date, quite modern. Of course, we have changed the colors and everything to fit today's needs, but still, the design is working very well, even today.
Timeless, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to tell something about this? Because
You
it's
can
clothing.
tell about the patterns because she's also my library of information.
About the patterns.
Yes.
Yeah, but like you can see here is Elefantti, which is very recognizable as a Finlayson pattern. It is a repeated pattern originally, created already in 1969 by Laina Koskela. But now you can see that Elina has been using it for the Finlayson clothing, and quite well.
For some reason, it's quite a hit.
Yeah. And the other design, actually, you're also wearing it today, Annukka from the 1970s by Mirja Tissari. It's also one of the, I would say, classic designs of Finlayson.
And I think there are a sales team that doesn't want it to go away.
Yeah.
But when I came to the design team, of course, the homeware is quite big. Sorry, mic drop. When I came to the Finlayson design team and was tasked to work with the clothing, I realized that most and basically all the patterns are made for homeware, which is totally different product than clothing is. And since I am not a pattern designer by career choices, more of a designer / technical designer, I realized that even though there are plenty of beautiful patterns, but some of them, most of them are huge and might not actually work in smaller scales, or the details get lost, or just the repeat is not working with different widths, etc. Osmi was a great help with that because she basically remembers everything, and every time I was like, can I use this? And she was like, it's not repeatable, sorry. Like, okay, do you have anything else? But the scale is a huge part of my work. And of course, the coloring. We have to bring them back to this day. And for 70s pattern, I think some of the people that made those patterns beforehand should be proud of how they can be translated into modern days. But scale, and Osmi's help.
Yeah. And I have to point out about the patterns, of course, that when we are using the designs, we are not changing the designs so that the original design would be changed to something totally different. We want to honor the original patterns. So the scale is something what we can change, or minor details for the repeat can be done, or colors can be changed. But of course, we want to honor the original design, so we are not changing the design. We are not allowed to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or I'm not allowed to.
No one is. Yeah, that's a legal issue. Yeah. But then about the sustainability, we can't skip that part today when the world around is changing, and of course the designers need to be changing as well. So we have to keep our eyes open for all the new possibilities and of course new challenges that are coming. But we think that the sustainability is a driver for the future. So we are quite excited to follow all the new things that are coming up and popping up from the market. So if there is new materials, more recycled materials, more
ways of doing things.
Exactly. So many things. But we could show you, actually, Jenny already mentioned a little bit, one of the first maybe responsible or sustainable item that we had, or recycled item that we have. We started to collect old sheets from customers and then transforming that material into new products. And we have had these rag products, both small rug pieces and longer rugs, and then pillows and that sort of items in the stores. And they are all made of totally recycled materials. And I think that's a nice way of taking back something that maybe we have produced in the 70s or 80s and 90s, and then the customer has been using it, and then they return it to us, and we make something new about it. We give a new life to that material. And that's one way of using that recycled material. Just one example. And
Do you want me to push a button?
yeah, you can already put the last slide because I think it's time for us to
Wrap it up.
yeah, exactly. But what we wanted to say is that as designers, we think that when the world is constantly changing, we also need to be changing all the time. The work of the designer is changing. We need to keep our eyes open and see what's going on and adapt our way of doing into that. And we have to remember that we are not solo artists. We are not the solo players. We are team players. We need all the other people around us, all the marketing and sales and customers and everyone.
And each other.
Yeah, exactly. So this was it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The last speaker of this session comes from Japan. She started in 1980s as an editor for children's books, and at that point she understood her abilities and will to coordinate between the creators, the designers, the artists, as well as the consumers. She has been representing several Scandinavian brands and designers, especially textile designers, since 2010 in her own company, Antfika. So let's give an applause for the president and owner of Antfika, Sachiko Imaizumi, please.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Sachiko Imaizumi. I came from Tokyo, Japan. I'm very honored to be here, and thank you, Candy, and all the team members preparing for the Forssa Textile Week. Well, I'm wearing the Finnish kimono, and I'm so happy to be here to wear this in Forssa. Because as far as I understand, this pattern was designed in Forssa in the 1950s, and then the Finlayson developed the designs for a while, for a long history, and then came to Japan, and now that it is on Japanese traditional kimono. And maybe later, after my presentation, you could see how it worked to make Finlayson to be this kimono. Okay, so let me start my presentation. Okay, you can see on the slide, in the first slide, this is our shop in Tokyo. The shop that we can call it shop because some consumers don't visit us, but it's the office. The shop is next to our office, so not sure. But this is the way how it looked. And I'm based in Tokyo, and we focus in the Japanese market. So unfortunately, the website is only in Japanese. But if you can, we don't have an English website, unfortunately. But you can visit our website, of course, and take a look what it is. But to express it in the word, our company tries to connect Nordic and Japan by designs. And as Jenny introduced me, and I started as an editor of the children's books a long time ago. And for a while, I was involved in licensing industry for more than 20 years. And then I started my own company 2010 and decided that which would be nice to connect Nordic and Japan by designs, mainly through licensing. So our role is to find Japanese companies for the Nordic brands and designers and match them together, the designers and design companies and Japanese potential the companies. Sometimes they are manufacturers and sometimes they are retailers. So it depends, but matching is very important. So communication is very important between the Nordic design owners and the Japanese side. As I said, our main business is the licensing. So let me briefly explain how it basically works. For licensing business, always there are two players. One of them is called licensor. So the creators, the rights owners, it is says licensors, and the licensee, they are companies in Japan. So the creators, the designers, they let the Japanese companies use their designs, so allow them to use the designs, and the Japanese companies pay the royalties, pay the fee to use the designs to the creators. So the ANFICA represents right owners in Nordic countries, so that we help them to develop the local strategy and do all the practical matters in Japan for them, on behalf of them. Talking of licensing, some of you might feel that the licensing is mostly the entertainment business, for the entertainment business, like animation and the games and so on. But according to the research from the licensing international organization, it shows that the 41% is from character and entertainment, and the other more than the other 60 something is from other how do you call it, the sources of licensing. And yet the designs and arts is still a very small part, maybe 1% or something. But actually, that everybody in the world now tries to make the products continue as long as possible. So the entertainment characters are, of course, that generate a lot of money from licensing. But many in the licensing, the companies, pay attention to the design licensing actually. So this is so let me introduce what kind of the sources, the designs that we license for Nordic, the partners. And the first one I'd like to introduce, it's Stig Lindeberg. The Stig Lindeberg is the very famous the designers, creators, and artists in Sweden in 1960s, 70s, for a while, for long. And we coordinate the Stig Lindeberg family, and the very small company, which is located at the foot of Mount Fuji, called Makita Shoten, for umbrella licensing. Originally, the design is the textile design is for the print, but the Makita Shoten has a very beautiful, very the skills technique of the weave it into the beautiful woven pattern. So it's not easy to recognize whether this is print or woven, but that these are woven materials. through their technique. So the family is very happy, and they appreciated their skilled techniques a lot, and we are very happy with this collaboration. And maybe very few people that knows about the Scandinavian Pattern Collection, because the Scandinavian Pattern Collection is our own brand. That we started this brand in 2013, the working with the individual designers, the living and working in Scandinavian countries, mainly in the Sweden and in Finland, because I have a partner, the Japanese lady partner living in Stockholm, and we work together. So the many Swedish designers and some Finnish designers are in this team. So the photos are quite small, but from eyewear to Japanese traditional, the paper, or of course textile and paper products and curtains and aprons and a lot. We have worked with a lot of Japanese companies, as you can hear on this slide. So with this, the brand, we have the rights of the trademark, Scandinavian Pattern Collection, and all the pattern designs belong to each designer. So we try to protect all the pattern designs with our trademark. And this is a bit unique case. It is called Anna ja Liisa, and we work with the 4 Finnish designers living in Ostrobothnia. And I am also in a team as a brand producer. The brand is called Anna ja Liisa, and it came from the name of an old lady living in Ostrobothnia, originally. So the way of living in Ostrobothnia is this brand concept. And very recently, a mail order company launched the very nice T-shirts with a lot of the information of the Ostrobosnian way of living. And there's a pop-up shop, the next, what's the call of the place? The Workers' House. And so you can see the Anna ja Liisa products, and also I put this leaflet this morning, so you can look through the pages as well. So to present their way of living, before launching products, we worked with the publishers, and we did this serial article, the 3-page of the serial article, for 1 year. So we do a lot of PR with it. So now is the time of Finlayson. The Finlayson is by far our most significant big brand. And it was Finlayson that first brought me to Forssa, maybe 11 years ago. And when I started to working with Finlayson, they took me to Tampere and Forssa as important places for the brand. And I am so impressed, and it is one of the motivation that it has motivated me a lot to establish the brand, that even though it's a very far away country, and the very few people that knew even the name of Finlayson at that time. So even though generally speaking, for the licensing, the awareness is the first thing that you need. But in my opinion, awareness is not everything. So even though the awareness was not high enough, if the brand of the designer has some specialty or uniqueness or the creativity, it's of course worth licensing, and many people would be interested in the design. So this is when I visited the Forssa, and at the anniversary year 2020, and we had an anniversary exhibition focusing on the Finlayson in Japan, and amazingly 80,000 visitors came to 7 venues. And have you ever heard about the phrase Hokuo in Japanese? Okay, let me explain. Hokuo is the word, the meaning the Scandinavian countries, but for maybe 20 years, it has become like not the name of the area, but sort of the area brand that many Japanese people would love to have. So it means North Europe. So it's just the general word. But if Japanese people say Hokuo, oh, yeah, Hokuo, it's so nice. Yeah, the people in Hokuo, they're living the ideal way of living. So such and such, those young ladies and even old ladies, I also love the Hokuo lifestyle. So this is the way So the many department stores have the Hokuo fair, having lots of the different products, and they sell a lot. The huge, and so Japanese people, not so many people have come to the Nordic countries, but we all know the name, of course, sauna, and the hyuke from Denmark, and fika from Sweden, and sisu from Finland, and lagom in Sweden, and those expressions are getting quite famous in our market. It's a very strange situation, as you might feel. So returning to the discussion of Finlayson, 10 years ago, when the Finlayson, the licensing program began, Finland was extremely popular in our country. So there are so many the opportunities that we can introduce the Finnish brands and the design. So the Finlayson is, of course, the leading design company. So it was not easy, but we could manage it. So I think we were very lucky to be able to launch at this timing 11 years ago. So through the licensing, what is good when you do with licensing is designs could be on various materials with the professional companies on each category. So you can see the tableware, the glassware, and also the paper products, stationery. And sometimes the designs that could be used for local lifestyle and culture. Yeah, I have worked with OSMI for long, but this year, one of the kimono company decided to develop kimono, and OSMI spent a lot of time to learn about how to design the kimono in a very traditional way. So even though the designers didn't expect at all, something happened, and in many cases it could launch quite nicely. And the Finlayson is licensed to the biggest wallpaper interior company in Japan, and wallpaper that sells very well in Japan. So even without knowing the brand, the family get to know, get accustomed to the patterns sometimes, and later they know the brand name. And another interesting thing is sometimes we try to target a certain age, but sometimes the company approaches us and they would like to develop the products for those we did not target that. So this is the case. These are designs for elderly people, and their sales is really growing, like double the compared with the last year. And this is very nice, even though the very functional item for the older people, that they enjoy the walking on the street with those the silver car. Okay, so I'd like to talk more and more of our products using the Nordic designs, but I think the time is getting tight. Jenny is looking at me, so I decided to close my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sachiko. Good to hear that there is a big market for Scandinavian design in Japan. Now I would like to ask all the people who have been here on the stage here to the panel. We have a short question and answer session. You told Karin something about the sustainability and how to recognize the sustainably operating company, but could you give some examples? Do they have any chances to recognize to make a difference between a sweatshop or a non-sweatshop?
And to be honest, it's really hard. And there are a lot of certificates, and you can all try to read more about those. But as far as I know, because you would think that it should have to do with price, but as far as I know, there's sweatshops who produce both really cheap products and really expensive products. So price doesn't necessarily has to do with it, but if you are paying very little for a product, you most definitely are buying products that are from a poor producer with poor circumstances. But I would say, yeah, trying to read more about the certificates and then look out for them. Ask in the shops, and don't do the bargains. Like, don't buy the really cheap stuff.
Do you have any kind of hunch for or to say, with your experience, what makes a pattern design a classic?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I think if I could say what makes a pattern design a classic, I think every designer would be designing only classic all the time. So it's not easy. But maybe something, if I think about Finlayson designs that have become popular over the times, what's similar between those different designs is that they are quite simple, somehow quite easy to approach. They are quite versatile, so you can use them in many different colors and in many different ways for different kind of products. Like Sachiko showed in her presentation that there's Corona design from the 50s. And I think it's very timeless design. If you know that it's from the 50s, you can really see the 50s vibes in the design. But if you don't know it, you think it's a modern design that it would suit any time. And it's easy to use for many, many different products. It goes for the clothing, it goes for the home textiles, and it goes for many things. So somehow also the timeless designs, that they are not too heavily bound with certain decade. For example, Corona design over there. It doesn't look too 50s. It doesn't look too modern. It doesn't look too anything. It's just perfect. Classic.
Good. Are you ready for a question, Nora?
Sure.
We heard about these licensing experiences here. How is Nanso utilizing the 100 years old stock of pattern designs? Do you?
Well, in fact, we have archive prints from like the ones that we have. The oldest ones are from 70s, as we started the printing business basically in the 70s. So, but we have very few designs left from that time, and each year or basically each season, I usually select 1 or 2 designs from the archive, exactly in the same manner as Osmi was explaining here, that not because of the retro feeling, but instead of the timeless quality of the design, so that it's just a good design that fits for the moment of now, and that's the sort of like a criteria for the print to be selected. So we often tell our clients about the archive prints, but we, for some reason that I don't know, we haven't made a proper record of the print designers in our archive. So I have to be like a real detective to find out the actual designers of the prints. In some cases, I might find an original design, actually like a real original drawing with the name of the designer, but it needs a lot of work, in fact. And maybe a reason for that could be that because we partly worked with freelance designers in the past, but we also had an in-house design department, and we were in-house designing the prints for Nanso. So, but still, I don't know the reason for the fact that all the names are not properly recorded. So, but yes.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. How about then Sachiko and Karin? Sachiko, you told about this licensing way of approach, which is very much highlighting the designer or the brand. And whereas Karin told about the ghost designing, which is kind of like pushing down the designer or the actual person who is doing or who should be credited for the design. So those the role of the designer in these cases is kind of very different. So do you think that these roles, they remain also in the future, or how do you see the businesses developing in the future?
Should I start?
Yes, sure.
I think both kinds of designers will continue to be there. Me myself are working in both ways. Of course, it's really nice to have your name on the designs you've done. But I also feel like because I make designs in my own brand with my own name, and then my name is on them. But sometimes in the work I have now, the companies are not asking for the name, but it's also that might not be a style that builds my brand name either, because maybe they're in a totally different trend segment than I usually are. So for me, it's good to be able to work both ways. But I think it's really important that because for all the freelance designers and for all the small studios, it's really important to be able to make a name, to be able to sell your stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, in my case, as Jenny said, that for us, that the pattern designers, as a creator and as a copyright owner, that is very important position. So our role, the coordinating between the pattern designers and the Japanese companies, it's very main. But as I explained, our market of Kokuo has been a bit matured actually. So the designers has to be more unique than before, and has to be more differentiated from other designs that from Nordic designs before. So that how we can make it branded and how the designs can be interpreted uniquely as possible. That we have to, and we will need more communication and more trust in how to grow that brand.
Good. Can you, Sachiko, still continue if there is a pattern designer who would like to enter the licensing market? So what are the critical things he or she should consider?
Well, I suggest he or she should have the clear idea how they would like to expand their designs, because the licensing, when you license the existing demands and existing designs, we use the existing brands, so the designers basically they don't they create a new patterns for each client. So sometimes the existing designs which they designed long time ago might change to the different way. For example, if the designers they designed it as a very dynamic patterns in a big scale, a certain company there in Japan would like to use it as a smaller scale on small items. So sometimes a lot of discussions that would be needed. So the communication and the sharing information, the sharing feeling is important. And unfortunately, that there are so many small and medium-sized companies that they're not so global and they still have a language problem. So in some cases, I suggest working through some agents that help support them with the language issues.
Thank you. We have been talking a lot about the past and the present, but what about the future? Now there are lots of technical issues developing and artificial intelligence and so how does the future of pattern designer look like? Can I have a quick round for each one? Perhaps from
You start.
I guess start because I'm not a pattern designer, basically. No, how do you start this? As I come from the clothing side, I see that there's a lot of possibilities with the. Oh,
Right. So,
is it?
yeah.
Oh, it's still working. I see a lot of potential for the whole production, communication between teams and between companies and producers, especially on the 3D side. And I also see that when we are able as clothing designers to use those 3D programs and easily implement new patterns and new colorways and see how it actually might look. It might help even the sales team to understand our vision or the pattern designer's vision. So I see a lot of good things happening with it. I'm not sure how AI is going to help me do my job yet, but I will sure make sure I'll see through it that it will help me and not steal my job.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also see that if I think about pattern design, I can't see the situation where the AI would design the patterns. I think that more we see the new technologies and the AI and all that, I think the more we will respect all the artistic skills and also the handcraft and the old methods, I would say. So they are complementing each other. So the future will bring something from the technology point of view, but still we have the handcraft and the artistic point of view. That's not going anywhere. So how about not?
Well, I think that luckily we can't know exactly the future. So I think that everything will change as it has changed like in the past already. And to be honest, with the AI, for example, I think it will be part of our all of the businesses that we are running. And in which way, I can't know, to be honest. So, but I think that we will not lose the sense of, the human touch and the feeling that it creates. I think that great patterns have that specific characteristics of the designer handwriting. And I think that's something that you can't fake. So in that ways, it's a kind of combination of the technology and the handmade things. And I think the handmade things will exist in the world as long as the humans. So that's how it goes.
Okay. You have to do something, Jack.
No, not much. I agree. I think we can already see how authenticity and the touch of the human hand is really important in design, and people are longing for that. So I don't feel like that AI will take our jobs necessarily, but hopefully make our jobs easier. When you're cleaning a painting, to be able to use it for a pattern, maybe AI could help out with that. We just love it.
I'm not the pattern designer, so I cannot say anything about pattern designers. But I would like to ask each pattern designers to give us more information, the background story, how each pattern is created. And I also would like to have more and more communication with the pattern designers and for the products most now.
Thank you very much. This was a very good ending for the panel discussion. And now I would like to thank you, first of all, and also for the audience. Thank you very much for coming today here. And let's have a break until 3 o'clock, and we continue then with another set of discussions.